There he
Nick,
is.
what's up?
Yo, what's going on?
Dude, look at that. Look at that studio.
Can you hear the roaring applause?
It's roaring. I'm here on site because I'm waiting for some deliveries to show up. But yeah, my carpet guys are putting in down carpet and wall.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Did Preston come down and help with some setup, or was he just?
Yeah, he actually built these acoustical panels.
Nice.
Yeah. So now I'm just putting the carpet down on the walls and everywhere else.
Congratulations, man.
Laying the carpet.
Laying the carpet. Dude, check this out. I see a picture of Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior doing Mercy. Dude.
What WrestleMania?
You just became like my all-time favorite person.
He works out of his parents' basement.
Right.
There's nobody who is more of a fanatic or probably like a trivia buff on 80s pro wrestling than myself. So it was my life and religion for a long time.
Same here. What WrestleMania?
That is WrestleMania. That's WrestleMania 6, isn't it?
That's right. That's right.
I always remember. So WrestleMania 7 is Sergeant Slaughter. WrestleMania 5 is Macho Man. So it's like in between there.
Yeah. That was my favorite. I was the biggest Ultimate Warrior fan.
Dude,
I would paint my face.
Dude, he was my deity for a long time. Like I think I was the Ultimate Warrior like at least 5 times for Halloween as a kid.
Yeah.
I drew his logo on everything, bro. It was like those guys like were brilliant, and they still are, but they're brilliant at stuff that just works in a lot of traditional marketing. It's very awesome. The parallels are great.
Welcome to the Insurance Dudes, a podcast for insurance agency owners helping us to think of different ways to optimize our business and our lives.
Today's episode, we have Nicholas Ayers, CEO and creator of Made You Look Marketing and Video Creation Extraordinaire. Listen as we deep dive into making videos straight from the source.
Well, hey, Nick, it's so awesome to have you on here. We've had multiple members of the insurance cartel, as I like to call it, on
Cartel.
Yeah, the cartel. So we've had Greeny and Preston and a handful of others. So it's just awesome to have you and fill in that video piece. I think this is the elusive part that a lot of agents are scared of.
Yeah.
To dive in, and it's easy to come up with excuses because you're really putting yourself on the line by being on video, right? You can get in your head about it. I know, like, and I'm getting pretty comfortable with being on video, but it's so funny. As soon as you turn that, like, you know what you want to say, you're ready to say what you want to say. You turn on that iPhone, and all of a sudden your mind goes blank, and you instantly get in your head, right?
Yep, that red square that you have to push in the red light. It's intimidating for a lot of folks, for sure.
Yeah. Or you have a list of stuff that you've thought about doing, and then you get out the pencil and the paper, and it's like, dude, I cannot put it down. Like, I'll sit there for a long time.
Yep. We have no problem like talking to people like this. We have no problem talking to people at our desk or at the line at Starbucks. We have no problem doing any of those things. And we're not even concerned about what we sound like. We're not concerned about what we look like. We're not concerned about any of those things. But the moment we have to talk into a machine that isn't even judging us, that itself isn't even it's not thinking about us in a certain way or caring about what we say. It's just a machine. We freeze up, and it's actually pretty interesting to observe how that, and it doesn't ever go away. I mean, there are lots of times where I still am that same way. I think, okay, what am I going to say? How's this going to work? I don't get nervous anymore, but I definitely stumble and overthink and overcomplicate the process a lot more than I even should. And I don't think that ever goes away. I think you just get a little bit better at managing it and realizing that it's not really a big deal at the end of the day.
I love what you brought, this parables, this new thing that you're doing, and you've almost cracked the code of including the wife which
I don't know about that now. I don't know about that.
But it was great. Like, you know, including your personal life, like giving that little glimpse behind the curtain of a little bit of personality, and then, you know, bringing her in and then having her, she doesn't like the camera type thing. People really connect with that.
Well, it's just, and that's just because that's who we are. It's just me, right? And so we travel probably a lot more than we should, and I made a cognizant decision that in 2018 that if I was going to do any travel in 2019 and beyond, I was only going to say yes to things that I took my family on, or at least gave them the opportunity. If they had other things going, like we homeschool a lot, so if they had other things going and they didn't want to, or they didn't want to go to the venue. I'm going to Vegas tomorrow, and they hate Vegas. And so I'm doing Vegas twice in 2 weeks, so they're only going to go to one of those. So that's just our life. And so whether it's with family or whether it's with whatever, like I think giving people a glimpse into that background and just into who you are, whatever that looks like or feels, whether it be with different organizations or your family or sports or whatever, I think it's not like it's intentional, but it's not intentional, because I'm just trying to just document. That's all I want to do, and my family just happens to be there all the time, you know.
That's a good thing.
Yeah better than if they're not there.
Right. Hey, so tell us a little bit about I mean, we know about you, but as far as like made you look marketing.
Yeah, so Made You Look video marketing is kind of an idea that I came up with a little over a year ago. It took some time to put into practice, but essentially my background, I've been in the insurance industry since 2005. Started on the captive side, started on the non-standard side, which in California in 2005. I mean, there was a lot of more non-standard agencies. That's how a lot of people got their start. Did that for a few years, transitioned to the captive side to a rather large carrier here. But beyond all that, before I went independent, before all that, for the last 20 years, I've been involved with video. I always tell people, long before Facebook or YouTube or social media, I was doing video. One of my first jobs ever was managing and manning a camera in a public access TV station. So I fell in love very early on when I was about 16, 15. This was right around the time of like Star Wars Episode 1. Right around that time. That's what I always tell people. That's when I got my first start, was like Star Wars Episode 1 was in theaters. And fell in love with the editing side, because there was no way to do like pushing out for like paid ads or marketing. If you liked video, you were editing video, and started doing that and started working with small businesses on there. So a lot of it was little promos for, live events. They were doing videos at live events or things like that nature. They didn't really have websites that you were hosting video on, and started doing editing. It was about 10 years or so ago, a little bit more than 10 years, I started falling in love with marketing. This is again before the idea of Facebook or a lot of these other platforms had paid advertising platforms. I loved marketing. And as much as I did video, I also did a lot of design and a lot of print design. And so I just fell in love with making things look good and aesthetically, and doing branding pieces for people, and started learning how to position words and call to actions and offers and things of that nature. So, fast forward a little bit, started an agency, 2013 Scratch agency, independent, first time going in the independent world, and I opened up an agency. I didn't work for, an independent agent or anything like that, just went straight to the ownership route. And, I tell people we started with 0 policies on the books and $0 in the bank, and had to figure out a way to drum up business, had to figure out a way to get, clientele, and started using video very strong in our agency. And it worked, to a large degree. And so my background with video, I tell people, is a little unique from a marketer standpoint, because most marketers are really good at the mechanisms. They're really good at Facebook ads. So they're really good at even like YouTube ads, or they're really good with pay-per-click. They're very good at the platform mechanisms. And I tell people I'm a little unique, especially on the video side. Number one, because there's not a lot of people doing video. But then two, there's not a lot of people who have I don't say this is just, I hope you understand the context. There's a lot of people who don't. I have the highest credentials from Adobe for content creation. I'm a StoryBrand certified guide, and I'm a Google partner. Wow. And so all those things together, understanding not just the technical aspect of video with, you know, the Adobe side, but also the storytelling side and the copy side and the script writing side with StoryBrand. And then also, you know, being real prevalent on the Google side, which a lot of people aren't doing that either. A lot of people are, you know, you find a lot of Facebook marketers, and that's great, but a lot of people aren't focusing on the platform that I like. Hope that's not too loud. They're putting in carpet. A lot of people aren't focusing on the platform that I like, which is Google, and I have biases to that, and I can speak to that if we want to, but I started Major League Video Marketing as a means to help business owners build their video presence online, whether it was in paid advertising, whether it was in customer journey, whether it was on automation. You know, how do we intertwine video to tell our story? Because to me, video is the most powerful medium that we have to communicate our message, short of you and me going out to lunch, sharing some ceviche and maybe, you know, wedge salad. You know, there's nothing really short of that, we're using video to scale emotions. I mean, we're doing this podcast via video, and there's a reason why. I'm sure this gets transcribed to audio and all that stuff, but we're doing this on video, and people are going to watch this because there's a way that communication happens that is visual, it is audio, it is a lot of things that it touches different sensory, you know, gates of the human emotions and pulls different levers. And so I wanted to help business owners do that. And it was really important to me to talk about the things that, number one, I know about, but also really more important than that, the things that I do. Because I think there's a lot of people, and I think this is not industry specific. I think it's in every industry. But there's a lot of people who talk about theory, but they're not actually doing it in their daily life. And it's really important to me. Man, that looks good. It was really important to me to, I mean, I wish you can see this. I know no one's going to geek out on this, what they're doing, but I'm geeking out on it. It's really important to implement and talk about strategies that I know work because they're things that I've done, and I continue to do. And so that's where Major Look came in, was helping predominantly insurance agents, but, you know, we don't discriminate. People in the financial services or beyond on how to use video to communicate their message, to build their brand, and ultimately build their bottom line.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit more, like what does that program look like?
Yeah.
So you built a program specifically for insurance agents.
It's not specifically for insurance agents. That just is my natural market. So it has a lot of insurance agents, but essentially it's built on two main pillars. It is built on the pillar that's not, this is where me and every other course, program, consulting, whatever you want to call it, this is where we're the same. There's online content that people go on and learn. That's where we're very identical in a lot of different regards. And where we have the two pillars is there's the online content, but then there's also the second pillar of ongoing support and consultation, which is also not unlike other programs. Where we differ is we want to structure our content in a way that really is beneficial to people. So I built everything on three main themes, and they're very simple themes. It is, what do we make? So going through frameworks and scripting and talking about the content that we need to make, how to understand education, how to understand human psychology, buyer sophistication, all those things so that we can tap into what people are wanting from a marketing standpoint, because I'm a big proponent of we need to emphasize the marketing in video marketing, not just the video. The second thing is how do we make it? And then the third part is, well, how do we get people to watch it? And so whether this is in paid advertising, whether this is organic, whether this is in automation, whether this is in cold traffic, warm traffic, you know, current customers, new customers, prospects. So it's built on those three themes. One area that we also help our students in is we do the done-for-you video editing for them. Most people don't geek out on the editing like I do. I like editing. I find joy in building projects and building things. Most people don't. Most people are worried about, you know, writing insurance policies and doing those things, and that's fair play to them. So I wanted to remove that obstacle out of their way. So we offer done-for-you editing for our students. So all they have to do is focus on the content that they want to make to reach the audience that they want. We're very big on finding who we want to talk to and crafting the messages that are appropriate to them. I've been through a number of different programs in 20 years, and most programs that deal with video either want to make you a film star or they want to turn you into an Amazon affiliate. And we don't want to do either one of those two things. I like making fancy video because I tell people I'm a hobbyist. It's what I like to do. But for ads, I don't make any fancy video. In fact, it's the ugliest video you've ever seen. But we really focus on crafting the offers and what we want to say on camera to reach the right person at the right time. So it teaches people how to do that. We try to give them the tools so that they can implement, they can execute, and they can see the results that they want.
Awesome.
I feel like I'm pitching really hard, so I want to be very respectful. I know that's not what people want to hear. They probably want to hear other things. So I apologize.
No, I like the pitch. So of course, you were mentioned on a previous cast by Mr. Green. And so I wanted you to talk about your program.
Yeah.
So that people know a little bit more about you. And then I kind of wanted to see, like, for me, I'm interested in who inspires you. Like, because I love marketing. I used to do graphic design, and like, I'm doing that stuff again. And it's just like, again, it's more fun than insurance for me.
Yeah,
Craig,
for sure.
I love doing all the marketing.
Yeah. I mean, marketing is more fun for me too. I mean, but you know, who inspires me? You know, where do I draw inspiration from on this stuff, or just in general in life?
I would say more on this stuff. Like I like, you know, Billie Jean is marketing.
Yeah.
You know, there's some really cool people
For me, there's a few people. I love the old school stuff, the old school marketers of yesteryear. I draw a lot of inspiration from people that had to make marketing work when it was door-to-door newsletters, and to me, marketing is copywriting mainly. I think copywriting and words. I tell people words are the most powerful thing we have, whether they're written or spoken. Words are incredibly powerful. People make decisions on what they read and what they hear. Wars get started over words. People fall in love over words. You turn prospects into paying customers with words in some form or fashion. So old school copywriters like the Eugene Schwartz of the day, who, you know, wrote sales letters, those people are very inspiring, and I draw a lot of life lessons from those people. Jay Abrahams, those guys are, you know, those are the marketers, you know. And you know, today, you know, I follow a lot of people don't know. There's a guy that I love for various reasons. His name is Mitch Miller, good copywriter that I follow a lot. You know, a lot of people know Bobby Stocks. I follow Bobby's one of my main mentors and coaches. Those people are great. I take inspiration from everybody. You know, we're looking at your wall right now, and you know, we've had some discussion about this. You know, Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior in the background. There's so much inspiration that we draw on just from, you know, 80s pro wrestling. You talk about positioning and brand building. Have you ever seen Hulk Hogan without his knee pads on? No. You know, what color are his tights? You know the answer, right? There's a consistency. There's lessons to be learned from storytelling and brand building, all those things. I remember this, again, it has to do with Ultimate Warrior, but I remember, you know, there was a time when Ultimate Warrior disappeared and they came back. And Vince McMahon got really upset with Ultimate Warrior when one night on Monday Night Raw, he came out with a baseball hat on. And he said, that's not who the Ultimate Warrior is. And, you know, Vince got really bad. So there's a lot to be learned in those kind of, when you talk about inspiration, you know, whether it is controversy. If you follow any of my stuff online, sometimes I like to post controversial things or things that really will try to segment or alienate certain people of the population with rhetoric. That's all intentional, because this is where I draw inspiration from, because it works. You know, trying to repel people that I don't want anywhere near me. From a customer standpoint is the same as attracting people that I do. So there's a lot that can be learned in those. You know, you draw inspiration from everybody. Obviously, you know, you take what businesses and corporations do today, whether it's Starbucks competing with itself by creating Seattle's best. You know, there's all kinds of different lessons that you can learn if you just observe and watch the things that are going on around you.
True. That's awesome, man.
Great. Is that too loud? Do I need to move?
It sounds like there's a war zone. Like there's some dive bomb noises.
Yeah, they're like. Sorry.
Great.
The dive bomb noises are interesting. if I was just listening to this, I'd believe you that you're getting work done.
Yeah. I can switch rooms if you need me to.
No, it's all good.
Okay.
What do you think, Craig?
I love it. Connecting with that emotion, your posts are something else, man. I've been following you for a while. I haven't stolen anything, and I'm, you know, but I just love what I love what you bring, and how that shock, it's elicit the emotion, and it moves people to action, whether it's good or bad, right?
Right. Yeah, so I mean, think about the concept of controversy. A lot of people are scared to be controversial about certain things because the whole school of thought, the basic school of thought is well, I don't want to offend anybody, or I don't want to upset people, right? And I think there's something to be said for that. But at the same time, you know, when you look at somebody like Donald Trump as an example, and you know, talk about inspiration. I don't have to agree with everything Donald Trump does, but he's inspirational to watch from certain aspects, right? You can separate some ideas from people and take some of the, you know, eat the meat, spit out the bones when it comes to from a marketing perspective. But you know, using rhetoric to kind of either make, because if you find a Donald Trump enthusiast, people will love that guy. The people that love him. They love him. The people who hate him. And so. Right. You know, there's something to be said for that. If you want to get people on, you love him? Timo, my carpet guy says he loves him. So, yeah. I love Donald Trump. He loves Donald Trump.
So, you can't script this stuff.
He's going, man. He's making America great right now. Look at Timo. So anyway. So, yeah, you know, you want to segment people. It's giving you know, meat to your base essentially, and making people so passionate about you. And so when you think about like your audience, you want to think about, well, how can I make the people who love me even more? And how can I get the people who are on the fence and don't really know about me? How can I get them off the fence one way or the other? You know, so that I'm not wasting my time. And that's why I like controversy. You know, and there's a lot of different mechanisms that you can do. And I'm not just being controversial for controversy's sake. I mean, if you hang out with me, you know, I'm probably going to act like an idiot in a lot of different, you know, public forums too. So it's just kind of natural to me. Forums. Yeah, and I tell people, just find what works for you. Find the balance for you. For me, it's you know, trying to get people's goat and agitate and being, you know, that way. But that's not everybody, and I don't think everybody should be that way. You just need to find what's going to be good for you, and just figure out ways to repel people, or attract the people that you want. Because what happens, you know, I'll post something, right, and I'll get a lot of people who tell me, Nick, you're an idiot. That's wrong. They'll message me and tell me I shouldn't do that, and I tell them, you know, that's, you know, thanks for that. But then I'll also get a ton of messages from people who will say something like, man, I've been wanting to say that for years and just never had the ability to. And so and these are people that I've never met or had conversations with. So it works. It's a two-edged sword for sure. And it can be very, very effective. And so I like to post things that are entertaining. You know, take our Facebook timelines as an example. These are news channels. These are TV stations, and people are watching this every day. That's why I tell people, I want to post something every single day. You know, whether it's proof, whether it's insightful, whether it is helpful, whether it's controversial, whatever. I want to give, you know, these people come. And we all have to think this way. People are looking at us as we are TV stations, and we want to give them something when weeks go by and I don't post any content, or when days go by, it's the same thing as a TV show being off air for a couple of weeks. People forget about you. And what you want is you want people talking about you all the time, good, bad, or indifferent. You want people, you know, thinking about you. And this, whether you are in insurance, whether you sell blue jeans or bubble gum or private islands in Bahamas, you want people talking and thinking about you in some form or fashion.
Isn't it crazy? Here's just a off the cuff weird observation, but isn't it crazy back, you know, I don't know how old you are, but
36.
Okay, 36. So probably right around the same age. Remember when we were young? Like we used to make fun of each other, call each other names that you cannot say now. And
Sure.
Then now that we have the platform of where you can see our lives, now everybody's silent. Like you can't say one thing to offend
there's gonna be a day where like the thing I fear the most is when like privacy laws completely go away and you can see everything people put in Snapchat or Instagram stories or DMs. Like that's gonna be it's like the same thing. But yeah, no, it's social media is giving a voice to everybody, and so people are trying to be a little bit more cognizant of the things that they say for sure, because again, they don't want to ruin things. And I'm not advocating that you should intentionally be offensive, or that you should be be hurtful.
But it used to be endearing. Like you would, yeah. Give me an example of some of these words. Can you give me some example of some of these words, Jason, publicly? Can you say them? Yeah. No. I was close. I was close. Think about it though, like with your buddies, you call them like that. If I don't
locker room talk, right?
Yeah.
Careful.
If you're around with your buddies and you don't call them names, you probably don't like the guy that much.
Oh no, me and my friends, you can't be a friend of mine and I can't be a friend of yours if we can't, rag on each other. That's how you know you're a friend, is when you can get away with saying some of the worst things to each other in fun.
Right. Yeah, it's like the opposite, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny.
This Mark, our audience, for agents or for agencies is just becoming more and more thin, right? And we're competing with we're all competing with a greater number of agents who are trying to utilize this same technology. So now, you go through your feed, and I guess it's probably a lot of early adopters, but in the next few years, we're going to see everybody going live, right? And if you're not, I would guess you're really going to be lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to become the shirtless insurance guy.
Right.
You got to constantly push the barriers to stand out. Yeah.
So, what do you got? So you're building the room. Tell us a little bit more about the room.
So, I wanted a place where I can do a couple of different things. It was even multi-purpose for me. So, my insurance agency is completely remote. I have 6 people on my team, and I'm adding a 7th, and we're all spread out all across the world. People in the Philippines, people in Costa Rica, about to bring on somebody from Louisiana, here in California. We're all over the place, and we have a remote insurance agency. It's completely digital. We're licensed in 5 states, but I needed somewhere where I can kind of call a home base, and I couldn't make that the office in my house. So I needed some place where we could still come together, but then also I wanted something to where I could also use for, content. One thing that I resolved that I need to do a better job of is I need to do a much better job of making public-facing content. And I'm trying to do more of that. Most of my a lot of my videos, if you look at my YouTube channel, like, they were non-existent, and that's because they were all ads. I was running a lot of ads, and they were unlisted videos, so you never saw those. And that's how I was utilizing the platform and video mainly. So creating a place where I can create content, and then also I wanted some place that I can open it up to where other people from around the world can come and make content as well, and kind of utilize this as a I hate the term, but almost like a safe place or safe space to kind of come in and to create content as well, and get their message out to people, and to open it up to our students and to host events. I just wanted a place that was kind of a base or a home base. And so it's going to be used for me and my team to conduct, meetings for our agency, my California team, and bring people, in, but then also to make it a spot to where I can get out of my house and come here and create content. Other people can create content and host events here. I just wanted that spot, and it was not available. I filmed my course for Made You Look. I had to drive, hour and a half to a studio that was smaller than mine and pay an exorbitant amount of money to make my content. But now I want to do that on my own terms now, and put out a lot more content. I'd love to be able to put out, stuff, multiple times a week, to where it's just free content that's just, helping people. And if you've watched like our vlogs, like I don't really ever talk about Made You Look. I never give pitches for Made You Look. I'm just trying to give some content, and I want to do more of that, and then also do more just, instructional stuff and educational stuff, and to help people. And I need a spot to do that.
That's cool, man. And you said you got a lot of agents working remotely. Are you using Wesley service?
Yeah. So Wesley is if Wesley works for a company or owns a company. He's a founder of a company called Agency VA, and I utilize VAs from them, which is great. They integrate into my Slack channel. They do all my telemarketing. They do all my service. They do everything for my salespeople. So we do all of our marketing is lead gen on YouTube mainly. And so we drive leads. They get in the hands of my VAs. My VAs set appointments with them, and they will build all the quotes, and then they'll do live transfers to the agent to do the selling and consultation process, to where they're just binding the policies. That's just kind of the setup that we want. They'll manage my team's pipelines and all that good stuff.
I love it, man.
Yeah,
that's so cool. I mean, it's harder on the captive side. But sure. I mean, you can utilize some of that stuff.
Yeah, some people some people utilize VAs just for like back office things. Some people utilize VAs for telemarketing. I'm wanting to really kind of, it's like squeezing every last bit of, drops out of them that I can. I want to utilize them for everything, to where we're maximizing. I do think people, it's hard for me, right? So, and you and me, we're in a state where cost of living is different. And yeah. Like, I can't hire people here. There was a report released last year that the poverty line in San Francisco, which I'm only 30 minutes out from, the poverty line was $114,000 a year. And so, like, when you're running an insurance agency,
that's insane.
It's hard. It's hard, right? And so, for me, it makes a lot more sense than it does for maybe somebody in, Omaha, Nebraska. So, with cost of living the way it is, I have to leverage as much as I can in order to be as profitable as an agency as I can. And so that's where VAs, they make a lot more, like it'd be dumb for me not to some degree. And so I try to find every area that I can just have them do it. First, it started with just back office things. Then it evolved into, okay, now they're just going to talk to underwriters and get billing questions so that I don't have to wait on the phone, or my team doesn't have to wait on the phone. And they'll just tell me the answers, your bill is this much more because of X, Y, Z. And then that could be communicated. Then it moved to them to communicating with clients, but it wasn't on phone. It was just by email from a support email. And so, and I built templates. And then it evolved into, well, let's have you just do telemarketing to our cold traffic that we do lead gen from. Like, let's try to do that. Then it moved to, let's try to get them to do warm transfers. Then it got to, let's get them to just build the quotes. And so I'm constantly adding and trying to figure out, how can I do this more to where I'm just making my sales team sell. And they're just talking to people that want to talk about insurance, or, completely remove the service aspect from my team now, to where I can scale an agency a little differently in the way that I want to in multiple states, utilizing them to where I don't have to pay somebody $20 to $30 an hour. It's just so much different cost. I'm paying them a lower wage, but to them in the Philippines or Costa Rica or wherever, it's, they're living like kings.
That's awesome.
Everyone wins.
Everybody wins.
Do you have any licensed VAs?
No. I think that's the next step. That's the next step. And I talk to Wesley all the time. I'm like, man, you give me a licensed PNC VA, we're cooking with fish grease at that point. Like, that's going to be, that's what, because it's hard. Like, that's a struggle with everybody, is finding good producers. So that's what I want next, for sure.
That's cool, man. I love talking to everybody. I mean, I love doing the podcast because I like talking to people that think outside the box.
Yeah.
Because inside the box, it's crowded.
It's doggy dog in the box, man. And it's any box. Like, you get outside the box and you start to see things. You start to see the world a little bit differently. And if the only impression I had of how to run a business was within the insurance industry, I mean, it's no knock to anybody. Fair play to everybody. But I think we'd all agree that it'd be challenging to run a business successfully if I just looked within any box, within my box, or whatever. So it's critical to get around. And that's why I try to surround myself with people who aren't in the industry, that are running businesses elsewhere, because then I can talk to them about certain things and they can be like, "Wait, that's how you do it?" Right. And I can go, "Well, yeah, that's how I've always done it, or that's how it's always been done, and that's not how they do it in their industry." And they can go, "Man, that sounds like a really dumb idea. You should do it this way." And so I think it's critical to get that outside feedback.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. So
That's awesome.
What's next for it?
You go.
You go.
I was just gonna say let's make it basic. Let's boil this down to super simple terms for us captive guys.
Yeah.
What should an Allstate or a Farmers or a State Farm, or somebody who's limited with with the products they can offer, and they have to really leverage that value proposition? What are some of the things they can do to maximize their video exposure online? Like, what channels, where should they be doing this, and what should they be talking
I'm not too familiar with what you guys can do from a compliance standpoint. Most of the people I work with are independent, right? Look, so I don't want to draw any false assumptions. So, I mean, I would think that assuming that you can't do a lot of paid advertising, what I would do is I would definitely do a ton of local engagement building things. And so what that kind of looks like is, let's say you're the community agent. You're in Tucson, right, Craig?
Yep.
So you're in Tucson. So, I would do things that unite audiences. As an example, I would do a lot of video content where I'm trying to get in front of other people's audiences by leveraging them. So whether it's interviewing the principal of the local elementary school and just talking about that, things that people want to hear, local politicians or other business owners, and not so much talking about insurance. I mean, people are going to know I'm doing insurance, but I would do a lot of, and it's more legwork for sure, and the volume is harder to come by, but you really build your authority and your positioning by uniting audiences with your own. And so getting in front of those things and just question and answer, or just talking, or just helping them build their business. One thing that I did years ago that was good on the insurance side is I had this idea that I was going to be, and some people might remember this. I hope it died a painful death with me. But I came up with this persona. I came up with this persona years ago called the Insurance Chef, and because I love food. Awesome. Yeah, I love food, right? So I'm a big food guy. You wouldn't know by looking at me, although I am getting dad bod. It's starting to catch up with me. But I love food, and so I thought, I'm going to come up with this moniker. I'm going to come up with this persona. I got a chef's jacket and everything, a logo, everything embroidered. And I went to local restaurants and I said, look, I'm going to set up my camera. I'm going to order some food. And then I'm just going to talk about the food. And it'd be great if, the owner can come out and sit with me and I can just ask him questions about the restaurant. And I'll just, it won't be about insurance. It's going to be branded Insurance Chef, all that. But what I was doing is I was using that as a way to, number one, get free food from the restaurant, but then B, also to try to capture, if I would tell them, look, the value proposition for you, Mr. and Mrs. Owners, I'm just going to talk about the food and how awesome it is. I'm going to be Guy Fieri here, and I just want to talk about the recipe, talk about that. They would take me to the kitchen, all that stuff, and then it gave me an in to write or to quote or build a relationship for the restaurant policies, and so it was non-insurance based. All the insurance talk happened with me on the back end, off of camera, with the restaurant owner. And I would go around to these restaurants and just critique the food, and it opened up a lot of doors for me. And I used video. You could probably still find some episodes of it where I would talk to restaurant owners and just talk about food. It was like the cheap man's version of diners, drive-ins, and dives. And I would promote it to my audience. I'd say, do you have like a special or anything? Like if they come in, can they get like a free appetizer? They mentioned like something to drive traffic to them. So I was building value for them. But that was me just trying to mix audiences and use video in a different, valuable way. So I think that there's things like that you can do within your community that are strong. Again, assuming that you can't run ads, then doing a lot of community local awareness and being almost like the news reporter for your town, to where you're everywhere. You're at the high school football game. You're at the restaurant. You're at, the ribbon cutting ceremonies. It's a lot of legwork. Again, making some assumptions here, but it's one that, man, people were like, man, I see you everywhere. Like, because you're penetrating so many different people's audiences. Engagement, if I just do it on my feed, is low, right? If I just do Facebook Live or do video on my feed, it's going to be low. I'm only going to reach a certain amount of people. But if I tell the restaurant owner, I tell the business owner, hey, share this on your wall and get it in front of your audience as well, it allows me to cross-pollinate audiences and build my positioning and my branding in my local community.
That's awesome.
Powerful, man.
Now, if Craig wasn't banned from the local elementary school, I had that one this whole time.
You've been 15 episodes.
He's like, I can't wait to drop this bomb.
Yeah.
Way in.
Dude, I want to see those videos. I want to see the Insurance Chef. I think that's a great idea.
YouTube the Insurance Chef. You'll find them, man.
Oh,
Facebook them.
Let's
so good.
Let's link to that from the Insurance Dudes page, just to make sure.
I even thought the other day, because sometimes at Facebook will notify me. They'll say, people from the Insurance Chef haven't heard from me in a long time. I'm like, yeah, it's been a couple of years. I thought the other day I was going to go in there and kill that channel just because, but
no way, man. I love that stuff. I used to play in and do all kinds of. I mean,
What do you play, man?
It's so much fun. The embarrassing stuff is the drums.
Oh, dude, I'm a drummer too.
No way.
Yeah, for the last 20
This
years.
makes sense.
Yeah.
It's starting to make sense. Oh, that's funny. How long have you been playing?
A little over 20 years.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. Since you were a teenager.
Since I was a teenager, man.
Same here.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You guys watch that thing on Netflix? It's a movie about it's the drummer. And now I can't remember the name of it. It's great.
Wait, can you do that? Can you do that again? He goes. It was a thing, you know.
You know about the drummer.
Yeah.
Come on, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that's it.
Play the beat. It went boom, psh, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna get a drum set for the studio here. I can't. That's what I'm gonna do. Like my downtime. It's like my therapy.
Yeah, you got to rock it, dude. That is awesome. I got it. A couple of our agents in here are drummers. So it's
nice.
funny. We didn't even know that. It just came about, and so we always joke around. Like we'll be like, "Hey, can you play that one song?" That's what everybody says.
Yeah.
When they find out you're a drummer, you know that one song, and it's usually like a Beatles song or something.
Yeah, I always tell people, the fastest way to confuse a drummer is, do you know what the fastest way to confuse a drummer is?
No.
What?
Have them read music. Show them music.
That's true.
People always ask me, they're like, "Man, can you teach my kid how to play the drums, or teach? Can you show?" I'm like, "Look, I can show you how to count to 4, and I can show you how to count to 8. After that, you're on your own. Like, I can only take you so far, because after that, it's like you just gotta. If you don't feel it, like, it's just not gonna happen."
Yep.
Yeah.
I went to music school, and that was the one area I almost dropped out or flunked out because the reading part of it was brutal.
You have kids?
I do. I have a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 1-year-old, and one on the way.
Any of them play music?
Dude, no. Well, at church, but still, it's brutal right now.
Yeah, for sure. They have all these things popping up. I think there's more down by you, but they have these things called School of Rock, obviously taken from the movie, but they're like places where kids get together. Instead of like teaching them like classical music or things that they would normally learn like in band class, they're having them play like, Zeppelin and AC/DC and like all these cover tunes from, that's how I first started learning how to play drums, was like AC/DC, because it was so simple. Like it was, very like just, simple rock beats, but it was very guitar, heavy songs that were just easier to play on the drums. They weren't intricate. And, but they have those schools, and that's how they teach them, is like to like classic rock and like, some stuff like that. So they find interest in it, and they like doing it, as opposed to like playing Beethoven, like, which is dumb.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I mean, it's gotta be fun.
Yeah.
That's the only way you get into doing it. Just like anything, just like insurance. I mean, that's why
I was going to say, insurance has to be fun.
Well, it has to be fun, right? Because people will get lured with, so many different ways, like, whether it be, revenue, recurring revenue, whatever. Like, it has to, at the end of the day, it has to be fun. And you have to enjoy it, because nobody like grows up thinking, man, I'm going to be an insurance agent. Although my son, who's 5 years old, tells me all the time he wants to be an insurance agent for Geico, which is like, I'm like, son, we got the first part down, but because he sees Geico commercials, and my wife happy with it. But you have to enjoy what you're doing, for sure, or you're not going to last long.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing this podcast. It's fun.
Yeah.
The highlight of the week.
It is. Any last minute questions, Craig? I love doing that.
No,
Craig, by the way.
I'm solid. I love the marketing aspect and helping the agents realize that, hey, look, you may be a neighborhood agent and you may be an expert in insurance, but if you're not a marketer, you're going to sit still.
Yeah, I think everybody. I learned this a long time ago, and there's an independent agent friend of mine that that really drilled this home for me years ago. He's like, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You have to think in your business. You have to be a marketer first in whatever you're doing. Insurance is just the tool that you're using, right? But you have to think about it because we live in such a competitive. Insurance is definitely a very competitive industry. There's agents on every corner in some form or fashion. And so everybody, I always tell people, everybody and their mom has a real estate license and an insurance license. Like you have to stand out in a certain way. And there's ways to do it to where, you can do it very, very well without stepping on the competition, right? Like you don't have to do it in a vicious way, but the reason why I like video is because not only does it scale human emotions, and not only can you scale and make your communication consistent, but it's powerful. I mean, I always tell people, the people that do video are the people that are going to win, because most people, most people don't want to be on camera. We talked a lot about, we get intimidated by camera. Just the way that you feel on camera, so does your competitor. Your competitor. They are also fearful of being camera. So the first person to step out and do that, that's why, we jokingly say a lot, we use the term alpha a lot in our in what we do in our program. We have alpha calls and all this stuff. And the reason is because if you think about primitive behavior, it was in the time of chimpanzees and monkeys, the king monkey who stood up and did whatever was the one that everybody looked to. And he became the alpha, or became, the leader of the pack. And that's what video does today. It's no different from a human behavior standpoint. The people that will do this will win. And if you leverage what your competitor or competition won't do for yourself, then you stand to gain. And it's such a cool tool. But the other thing is you can use it for every other medium or platform. What you learn by doing video marketing, you can use in direct mail. You can use, that's why I say copywriting is so important, because it's so universal, whether it's to video, to direct mail, to sales calls, telemarketing. It's so critical. I just platform because I think it allows me to do things on a much bigger scale.
Yeah, and
accomplish. Go.
You go.
I
was just saying, accomplish multiple things at once, right? You do the video, and you have multiple mediums to distribute from.
Exactly.
Right?
You guys,
audio, the transcript, then you have.
Yeah, you're gonna put this in a podcast to audio form. You're gonna splice it up, and maybe you could take segments that we took out of here. You could put quotes with your photo on and post them to social. You could do little bite-sized nuggets and post those to social. You can transcribe it and put it in text form. There's so many different, and it started with video, obviously, right? So there's so many different ways to transcribe that. I can't take necessarily what I write and put that to video, or cut that down. I have to recreate it. Whereas I could just take the video and repurpose that to so many different ways. People always ask, well, I can't make all this content. Just make one piece of content. And then get creative with how you distribute that content. Don't put it all in one shot. Don't blow your wad in one setting. Splice it up and do different little bite-sized nuggets here and there, and repurpose it and drop it here and there in different forms or fashion. And, all of a sudden you're everywhere all the time. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's why I like courses like yours, or Billy Genius Marketing, or listening to Gary Vaynerchuk. I mean, there's so much, Russell Brunson. There's so many people that are, and everybody's kind of preaching the same thing. But I mean, it really does all start with video. That's why I think those kind of courses. I just graduated college 3 or 4 years ago, and I learned. I mean, I learned more. I learned more today in one day from you than,
That's cool, man. I'll send you a bill, and you can go in student loan debt for me. No. So here's the thing about it. Take an example like Facebook. Facebook is a platform, and like all platforms, it's going to change or go away in some form or fashion. Mm-hmm. The people who put all their eggs in that basket are going to have to change things up soon. And that's not like a shot at anything or anyone. That's just the fact that it's going to look different. Like, we'd be foolish to say it's not going to look drastically different in 5 years or 2 years, right? It's just going to be different. And that's why it's so important never to bank on the mechanism, never to bank on the platform, because the platform can pull the rug out from under you at any time. And then what do you do? So the reason why I like video, and I have to be careful with this on myself on YouTube. I have to be very careful with it. But the thing about it is video is so broad, and it's going to change too, but until people start wearing virtual reality sets over their head at all times, it's going to just be the same experience, and you can really make it more universal platform to platform. It's like copywriting, words, whether you write words for a magazine, a newsletter, a postcard, the word, the medium of copywriting has been with us for well over 100 years, and that's how I think video is going to be. And so leveraging, not banking so much on the platform, but leveraging and banking on the broader piece, which is video, I think is where I would encourage people, whether they're Facebook marketers, YouTube marketers, whether they're focused on Instagram or whatever, like to focus on, put more emphasis on that and how you frame your videos so that you can make them universal to it. As the platform changes, you can make those universal. Understand people over the platform and you'll have success. If you just always understand people and put more emphasis in learning about people than you do the platform, because the platforms you can learn rather easily, but learning about people takes a lot of consistent, effort on your part.
Yeah. And I think you're right. Like, and I'm sure a lot of people think, oh, I'd rather do a podcast, but just like you said, then strip the audio, start with the video, strip the audio, do the podcast. At least you have that. You can use that as clips for any platform. And if you build that machine, you spread it across the platforms. When one dies, you still have the other ones, and then you go to the new one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I love it.
Love it.
Where do you see what gets you excited about the next 5 years? Where you
in 5 years of my life, or 5 years in the industry, or 5 years?
Just the next 5 years. Like what? So you're doing video. You have made you look marketing. You're doing insurance. You're playing drums on the side.
Yeah.
What gets you psyched about the next 5 years?
My hope, well, we're trying to gear up in the next 12 months to move out of California. We're going to move to Arizona, more than likely. More than likely the Phoenix Gilbert area is kind of where we're looking. And what excites me is I'm trying to position my life in a place that in 5 years I'm only working because I want to work, and I'm working on things that really interest me and make me happy and passionate. And so managing my insurance agency, putting people in place and putting things in place to where I'm either A, going to sell it, or B, better idea is to have somebody else run it for me and afar. And we're living life more on our terms. So those are the things that excite me and that drive me. Those are my goals. I want to be semi-quasi-retired. I have no issue with people when they tell me they've been in the insurance industry for 40 years. I think it's awesome. I just think that's not what I want. I don't want to be in any industry for 40 years. I want to be. I want to have. That's why I got in this business, was to live life more on my terms. And so, putting things in place is kind of what I'm trying to get to where now they're hammering. People on the podcast are like, "What in the world?" But that's what I'm looking forward to, is being able to do that. We're going to move my mom out there, so I have our big goals of trying to retire my mom. And
that's cool.
Those are the things that excite me and that I work towards.
Yep. California's getting crazy, man.
It's ridiculous. We're homeschoolers, right? So we homeschool our kids. We're very strong homeschool advocates. And we, it could be fear mongering, I'm not going to lie, but we are under the impression that in the next couple of years, homeschooling here in California is going to be it's already being challenged very strongly right now.
Yeah.
With them going after charter schools and all that. We can get
crazy.
Yeah. So we're very strong proponents of that. And, my political leanings, I'm like your hardcore libertarian, like do whatever you want, just don't ask me to pay for it type thing. And that's kind of, it's harder to do that here in California, right? So I asked my CPA, I texted him, I said, how much money would I have saved if I didn't live here? And he gave me a number, and I said, yeah. So that's kind of, and that's what we're working for, and that's what we want to do.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, we homeschool too. And yeah, it's awesome, man. Again, it's like, it's thinking outside the box, and we have so many tools now in life that we didn't have 10 years ago, that it's like, dude, why wouldn't you leverage some of this stuff?
Right.
It's cool, man. Well, thank you so much for allowing us in the studio today.
For sure, man.
Thank you, Nick. Really, really good connecting. We appreciate you, man.
Likewise, man.
I want to come up and see the studio. I want to go to the safe place.
Come on, come do it. Come up here. We'll hang out.
We'll jam some drums.
Good.
We'll do it, man. Let's rock and roll.
Your Insurance Dudes podcast is sponsored by Agency Vault, an industry leader in agency coaching, hiring and retaining top talent, and sales training with the 7-step trusted advisor sales framework. Are you up for the challenge? For $99, you'll get 28 days of access and an opportunity to join our private platinum coaching group. For more information, navigate to www.agencyvault.com.
Hey, thanks for checking out the Insurance Dudes. Hey, please subscribe. We got some really great stuff coming out.